Thank you so much. Good evening. We are the River City Ringers, a community handbell choir from right here in the Omaha area under the direction of Rick Richards. And it is truly our pleasure to have you with us here tonight. Tonight's concert includes rondos, rhythm, and swing. And you heard one of those in our opening selection, Rondo Passacaglia by Cynthia Dobrynski. British composer Ralph Vaughan Williams had a love of music, and he adored his homeland. He went through the English countryside collecting folk songs, capturing England's musical history. When World War I started, though he was 42 years old, he joined the military, and he drove ambulance wagons and then became an artillery officer in France. After the war ended, he became director of music for the British First Army. So when the Royal Military School of Music commissioned Williams to write a composition, he combined his passions to create Folk Song Suite, molding the melodies of 9 of those English folk songs he collected into a composition. It premiered in 1943 and one of his most famous works. Here is the march from Ralph Vaughan Williams' Folk Song Suite. Piazzolla was a famous 20th century Latin American tango composer. He listened to his father's jazz and classical records from an early age and soon after began playing an accordion. In 1932, he composed his first tango, and at age 18 realized a dream when he joined a famous Argentine tango orchestra. But in 1955, he departed from tango bands, traditional tango bands, to create Nuevo Tango, a new tango blended with elements of that same jazz and classical music he listened to as a child. One of his most famous works was featured in the 1984 Italian film Henry IV. The song evokes nostalgia and sadness, recounting a lost love. The singer is trying to leave that relationship behind, but constant reminders of their time together make it difficult for their love to pass into, as the song title suggests, oblivion. According to 13th century legend, the Italian town of Taranto was afflicted with an epidemic of poisonous little spiders. The townspeople believed that a tarantula bite was highly poisonous. The only known cure was for the victim to perform the frenzied dance of the spider. Failure to dance out the poison could be fatal. Villagers would surround the dancer, while musicians would play music at different tempos, trying to find the perfect healing rhythm. Once found, the victim would dance until thought to be cured and exhausted. Over time, the legend's mystique has faded, and the dance has evolved to a couples dance often performed at weddings. In fact, today, it is considered unlucky to perform the Tarantella dance alone. Accomplished composer Claude Smith recreates this frenetic dancing in Tarantella, the first movement of his composition, Incidental Suite. Thank you so much. We decided that none of us ever wanted to get bit by a tarantula because we don't want to do that dance. So, just so you know. We often forget that much of today's music has its roots in a very rich heritage. For example, the Passacaglia originated in early 17th century Spain as a strummed interlude between dances or songs, and was quickly incorporated into French theater. One of the best-known examples of the Passacaglia in Western classical music is Johann Sebastian Bach's Passacaglia and Fugue in C minor for organ. The style is unique, with 3 beats in a measure and a basic rhythm with a repeated pattern that is weaved throughout the piece of music in a series of variations. Composer Fred Grayman uses this style in our next song, Passacaglia in C minor. The golden age of big band had its start in early 1900s jazz music when small jazz combos combined to form larger bands. In the roaring 1920s, the burgeoning record industry attracted jazz musicians to cities like New Orleans, Chicago, and Kansas City. Big bands did feel the effects of the Great Depression, but by the mid-1930s, the public wanted musical entertainment, and the big band era swung into full force. This unique form of jazz is defined by an ensemble of saxophones, trombones, and trumpets, and a rhythm section of piano, guitar, bass, and drums, creating a driving rhythm because, at its core, swing music is jazz music. Soloists provide their take on a simple harmony, similar to a recurring refrain heard in a classical rondo. Composer Sandra Tucker captures all that big band sound into her arrangement titled Rondo a la Swing. The 1980s sitcom The Golden Girls revolves around 4 older women sharing a home in Miami. 4 women from very different backgrounds share life, commiserate, argue, and complain, but in the end, when any one of them needs help, they are there for each other, reliable and dependable. A message heard in the show's theme song, "Thank you for being a friend." Our next song was commissioned to honor someone who was always there for Wisconsin's Encore Handball Ensemble. Shirley Schuhart was the founding member of the ensemble and was recognized as a dependable heartbeat, always there. Shirley's typical ringing position was the B4 and C5 bells, and this song relies heavily on those bells to be the steady heartbeat throughout the piece of music. In honor of Shirley's dedication to handbells and all of the lives she touched, here is composer Michael Glasgow's song, Reminiscence. Sea shanties were work songs used on board ships to help sailors coordinate physical movements, like hauling ropes and raising the sails. And of course, there was the shantyman who would lead the singing, and he set the pace. The songs date back to the mid-1400s and were used on sailing and merchant ships, but also used by pirates, those seamen involved in a wide range of nautical misbehavior, including coastal raiding, intercepting ships, robbery, kidnapping, and yes, even murder. One pirate, fictional though he might be, is the swashbuckling Jack Sparrow. Though he has lots of trickery up his sleeve and can be treacherous, Jack fights only when necessary and survives mostly by wit and negotiation. You can hear all the mystery, fear, excitement, and danger of Jack's life in composer Klaus Badet's song, Pirates of the Caribbean. "1940 in America was anything but peaceful. That past September, just after World War II in Europe was declared, President Roosevelt increased funding for the nation's military, causing many Americans to believe that sooner rather than later, the country would be involved in the war. A movie release that year brought a bit of break to that tension. With the mischievous little boy, Pinocchio, it provided entertainment for everyone of every age, and was so charming that days and weeks later, moviegoers would have the theme song, performed by that one and only Jiminy Cricket, going through their heads. You might recognize these lyrics. When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires will come true. Like a bolt out of the blue, fate steps in and sees you through. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true.